My name is Dan McCormick, and I make ecological art. My sculptures are objects that can be placed strategically in the watershed to keep the erosion down, and they're filled with biodegradable material that can absorb agricultural waste, divert silt, and protect spawning gravels for salmon. We're 30 miles north of San Francisco. The Pacific Ocean is out here. It connects with Tamales Bay. Salmon travel up Tamales Bay and spawn in these creeks that are in the Lima Valley up here. Historically, there were thousands of salmon traveling through this waterway up into these hills. Now there are barely 100. We have agricultural waste that runs into the water and causes a lot of problems for the fish. The agricultural waste is mostly cow manure, and you're out there and you want to respond to the situation. What would you make? Here we have a situation where there are cattle next to a stream bed. All of this waste right here is being washed down into the stream bed here, and it makes it difficult for the salmon to get oxygen when there's a lot of fertilizer in the water eating up the oxygen. My sculptures are here to trap the silt so it seeps into the ground. All this planting has come up in the last 10 years. And it's because of these kinds of sculptures that are manipulating and holding this water in here that makes this possible to grow. My sculptures are made of riparian material that you can cut and pick and weave together. The willow is good because it reestablishes itself. You stick it in the ground and it'll regrow, and it's very malleable. So this is the beginning of the hoops, and they can be shaped into rough circles. I am putting this together with sinew and a little bit of wire to hold its shape. I'm using willow branches and large grass stems. It has to conform to the contour of a gully, and so it's flexible enough to do that. Sometimes I don't know if I'm in an art process or a design problem-solving process or a scientific analysis. Walking around the site is another part of the art. I use a lot of drawings and planning and note-taking to see what areas seem to have changed and where it needs to be worked on. Wandering around the creek at low water and off-season, you can really see what it was like at high water. You can see the cavities that were made, and there's a lot of structures that have been made by the forces of the water. Rocks and logs jammed together, and looking at them, you can see a really beautiful composition of smaller material that has been settled at the top, and that really informs my process of how to work. I use this old dairy farm that the park said I could keep my materials in. This is a blanket, fiber blanket made of coconut husk. It's a really good structural material to hold things down on eroded hillsides. This is this fiber mat. This is a looser weave. These two materials work together really well. One is really structural and one is absorbent. Well, this is recycled wood fiber. It has a lot of air in it, and you can get a lot of volume out of it. It soaks in a lot of water and sort of acts like a filter. The exciting thing for me is to go out to an environment and make some kind of positive mark. Okay, thanks a lot for bringing up the tools, everybody. Good. This is going to be our outdoor classroom for the day. Okay, set it down. The Conservation Corps and that service learning group, they get paid to come out and work on these kinds of projects. I think it's wonderful that we have youth serving their community at that age. I want to show you this mock-up. It's a very strong piece, but very light. Fiber it up like this and put it in. I want to get this to puff out. They're basically basket shape because that kind of structure will hold material. You can carry it to these remote places in the watershed. Okay.
You okay?
When we start getting rain, the natural place for that soil to go is down in this gully right here. And this gully delivers it down to the main part of the creek. So although we're working a half a mile away from where the spawning beds of the salmon are, we have a direct influence on their habitat by putting this structure in this strategic location. Assembly line. We stake them in with plant material that will reestablish itself and maintain, restore some of those areas. You made a really nice piece of work. I've actually seen the impact, and it's really substantial. There's been a great amount of vegetation. There's been a good reduction in siltation, and it's very clean water. They're holding up pretty good. I'm not just making one object. 500-600 acres might have 30 sculptures on it at various stages. This is approximately 1 foot to 2 feet higher than it was 10 years ago. This is an older sculpture. It's about 5 years old. It's working pretty well and still intact. It's in front of a sculpture that is about 7 or 8 years old. It's still here's some of the fiber that's still in it and some of the stakes are still left. But I think fundamentally, if we're just put on a beach, we will make something. We will arrange the rocks, or we will carve a message. We do that as human beings. It's an instinct. And that's what leads me to this work, is that fundamental urge to make something. It's not going to save the world. It's going to put a drop in the bucket, and that's about the best I can do. That would be enough for me.
Instinct can be overwhelming. It makes salmon and other fish swim for the ocean all the way upstream to breed at the exact place they were born. They must really want to get there, but sometimes willpower just isn't enough. With the advent of man-made dams, fish needed a leg up. Back in 1836, maker Richard McFarland patented the first fish ladder, a series of small interconnected ponds that made it easy for fish to swim or jump from one level to the next. Nowadays, there's a huge variety of fish ladders, from a series of natural-looking pools to more elaborately engineered designs. That's still a lot of stairs for a fish to climb, so how about a fish elevator?
Major funding for MAKE is provided by Geek Squad,